If you had told Amina years ago that her greatest enemy would not be poverty or heartbreak or even sickness but procrastination, she would have laughed and waved her measuring tape at you like a gospel fan during praise worship. My dear, she would say, eyes shining with confidence. Life is long. There is always time. That was her belief, her anthem, her quiet destruction. She was the kind of tailor people traveled for. One glance at her work and you will know God gave her fingers small doses of magic. Her blouses hugged the body like a promise. Her gowns obeyed curves like soldiers receiving orders. Even her stitches sat straight like students in a new class. But inside that gifted tailor lived a small stubborn weakness. The "I'll do it tomorrow." Tomorrow was her comfort. Tomorrow was her escape. Tomorrow was the thief she fed with her own hands. Amina grew up in a house where her mother did everything fast, fast. Cooking, cleaning, hustling, sweating, always moving, always rushing. It made the whole family tense. As a child, Amina would sit on the kitchen stool watching her mother fly from pot to pot like a restless pigeon. "Mama, rest," she would say. "I'll rest when I die," Mama Zawadi replied. Those words terrified her. They planted a seed, a strange seed that made her vow, "I will never live in a hurry. Oh. I will always take my time." She thought she was choosing the right thing. She didn't know she was choosing delay. She didn't know peace without structures eventually became chaos wearing makeup. By 29, her shop was famous, Amina Stitches, the pride of Eastleigh. But the customers, they suffered. "Auntie Amina, I said I need this gown on Friday." "I'm coming, tomorrow," she would say casually. "Madam, this wedding is on Saturday." Don't worry, I'll finish it tomorrow morning." Tomorrow? Yes, trust me now, I'll finish it. But tomorrow always had another tomorrow. Some days, her shop sounded like a court hearing. "Amina, this is the third time you're giving me stories. What is wrong with you?" "Auntie, relax now. You will get it." "When will I get it?" "Tomorrow." Her apprentices, two teenage girls with chewing gum hats, knew their madam slogan so well. They sometimes said it together. "Tomorrow." And customers would hiss, roll eyes, threaten, shout, beg, and sometimes cry. Still, Amina remained calm. In her mind, crisis was just noise. Time was elastic. Life could always wait. What she didn't know was that life listens to everything, and life was already planning her lesson. It started with a tingling in her right palm. Nothing serious, just a small vibration like a phone on silent. She shook her hand and went back to cutting fabric. Maybe it's stress, so she told herself. The next morning, the tingling returned, this time crawling like small ants under her skin. She hissed, "Abeg, when I finish this Ankara gown, I'll go and buy Panadol tomorrow." That tomorrow came and went and returned with a friend, a dull pain. Still, she postponed. "Let me just finish this order. I will go. After this customer, I will go. This week is tight. I'll treat it next week. I'll rest later. I'll fix it tomorrow. Tomorrow again and again." The pain slowly grew into something else, a strange heaviness in her arm. Her fingers began to stiffen in the mornings, refusing to open fully until she massaged them. Her apprentices noticed. "Auntie Amina, your hand." "Leave it, jare. It's just one small thing. I will go to the hospital and treat it tomorrow." But the human body is not a tailor's customer. It does not respond to promises. It demands attention. And when ignored, it screams. Months later, one Tuesday, sunny morning, Amina was hemming a lace blouse for a customer who had already shouted 3 times that morning. She lifted her needle, threaded it, pulled the fabric close. Then, without warning, her needle fell from her hand, just slipped, as if her fingers forgot they existed. She bent to pick it up and realized her hand was shaking. Not small tremors, violent ones. Her palm felt like it belonged somewhere else. Her apprentices froze. "Auntie Amina!" She forced a smile. It has happened before. There's nothing there. But deep inside her chest, fear began to hum quietly. Still, when a customer entered shouting about a gown due last week, Amina dusted her fear aside, wiped her hand, and continued sewing. I will go to the hospital tomorrow, she whispered to herself. Tomorrow head her. Tomorrow sharpen this knife. By the next month, her hand had changed completely. Her grip weakened. Her fingers darkened at the tips. Sometimes she felt tiny shocks like electricity moving inside her wrist. One night, as she tried to close her shop, pain rushed up her arm so fiercely she dropped her keys and screamed. She leaned on the wall, sweating, shaking, trying to breathe. Her neighbor, Mama Mukwali, ran to her. Amina, what is it? My hand, my hand. Let's go to the hospital. No, 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 not tonight, abeg, tomorrow. Mama Mukwali grabbed her chin. Amina, sicknesses don't hear tomorrow. But Amina forced a smile. I just need to take small painkillers. I'll take paracetamol. I'll be fine tomorrow. She didn't know the body had a point of no return. She didn't know she had already crossed it. Saturday morning came with the rushed heartbeat of a wedding day. The bride stood tall on the fitting stool, arms lifted gently as her friends circled around her with phones raised. They took pictures, recorded videos, adjusted earrings, and whispered excitement. The shop paused with noise. The hum of sewing machine, the shuffle of fabric, the tension of deadlines, the sweetness of perfume, and impatience mixed together. And in the center of it all, Amina walked with the kind of focus only tailors understand. She leaned forward to adjust the bride's corset, lifted her hand, reached for the lace, and suddenly the world tilted. Her vision wavered as though someone had smeared fog across her eyes. A sharp twisting pain shot her wrist. Her fingers curled inward and locked, stiffening into a painful claw. Her breath seized in her throat. Amina, one of the bridesmaids whispered. But before anyone could react, Amina's knees buckled. Her body folded and she collapsed onto the floor. The shop exploded into panic. The bride tore herself out of the half-finished corset and jumped off the stool. A bridesmaid screamed, dropping her phone. Auntie Amina, Auntie Amina! Someone rushed outside to get a car. Someone else found her with a piece of kintenge fabric. The bride knelt beside her, shaking. Within minutes, they carried her out of the shop, her arm hanging helplessly, her head leaning back, consciousness slipping in and out like weak light bulbs. The ride felt like a blur. Doors opened, nurses poured out. A stretcher rolled towards them at high speed. They lifted her onto it, her body limp, her breathing shallow. The bright hospital light stabbed her eyes as the stretcher wheels clattered through the corridor. Her pulse is unstable. Arm is badly swollen. Get IV fluids ready. Scan the hand immediately. Voices buzzed around her like bees. The nurses pressed her arm gently to examine it. Amina screamed. The pain shot up her shoulder like lightning. They rushed her to a small exam room. A cold machine scanned her infected wrist while a nurse held her steady. Blood samples were taken. Her temperature spiked. Sweat beaded on her forehead. At one point, Amina whispered, Please, my hand, my hand. But her voice broke in the middle. Her fingers had turned dark at the tips. Her wrist pulsed with a glowing, angry heat. A doctor walked in, studied her hand, and silently motioned for more tests. His face was calm, but his eyes carried a warning. Hours crawled by. Her mother, Mama Zawadi, arrived breathless, wrapper misaligned, panic written across her face. My child, Amina, talk to me. What is the matter? Talk to me. Amina tried to lift her right hand out of instincts, the same hand she has stitched with her whole life. The bandages pulled and she winced. The hand did not feel like her own anymore. Mama Zawadi held her hand gently, brushing her hair back, praying under her breath. They waited and waited and waited. Every minute felt like punishment. Late in the afternoon, the doctor opened the door quietly, walking in, holding a file against his chest like a weight. He exhaled before he spoke. Madam Amina, the room froze. We have run all the necessary tests. We have tried fast-acting antibiotics. We have flushed the nerves. We have attempted everything we can to stop the infection. He paused, eyes softening. But the infection has spread too far. Amina's heartbeat quickened. Her mother's hands trembled. Doctor, will her hand recover? Mama Zawadi whispered. The doctor removed his glasses, a gesture Amina would remember forever. I'm afraid not. He felt like the ground shifted beneath her bed. He continued, voice heavy. Amina, if you had come earlier, we would have saved your hand. But right now, the infection is threatening your life. It is spreading really fast. If we don't act immediately, he looked directly at her. We may lose you. Amina swallowed hard. What? What do you have to do? Her mother asked, voice cracking. The doctor closed the file gently. We have only one option left. Amina shook her head before he even said it. No, 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 please. Her voice broke into pieces. He stepped closer. Amina, we need to amputate. It is the only way to save your life. Amina screamed, a sound that rose from her soul, sharp and raw, long before they reached her bed to wheel her to surgery. And as the noise echoed against the hospital walls, she closed her eyes and wished she could turn back every tomorrow she ever wasted. The surgery took 3 hours. 3 long, bitter hours that Amina would never forget. She remembered lying on the stretcher, the bright hospital lights above her blurry like starbursts. A nurse held her left hand and whispered, just breathe, Amina. You'll be fine. But nothing felt fine. She could still hear the doctor's final words before the anesthetic pulled her under. Your hand is severely infected. We will try to save as much as we can. Try. That was the word that followed her into the darkness. When she woke up, everything felt too quiet, too still, too wrong. Her arm was wrapped in thick bandages heavy as guilt. She tried to lift it. Nothing. A nurse rushed to her side, adjusting the drip, her face carrying the kind of pity that always told the truth faster than words. Then the doctor walked in, sighed and gently sat beside her. We did everything possible, he said. And in that moment, her heart broke before she even looked at her hand. She didn't scream. She didn't push anyone. She only stared at the ceiling, blinking slowly as the reality swallowed her whole. Her dreams, her work, her name in the neighborhood. Everything had been tied to 2 hands. Now, only one remained. They discharged her 2 days later with painkillers, instructions, and a silence that followed her everywhere. The night after Amina came home from the hospital was the longest night of her life. Her room felt foreign, like a place she had once known but could no longer enter freely. Moonlight crept through the curtains, landing softly on the sewing machine that stood near the window, the same machine her right hand had danced on for years. But tonight, the machine looked like a framed photograph of someone who had died. She lay on her bed, staring at it, her left hand gripping the bedsheet, her bandage stump, throbbing with a pain that didn't need translation. Every few minutes, her chest tightened and she whispered the same sentence like a confession. I caused this, so I caused this to myself. Her mother heard her from the sitting room but said nothing. Mama Zawadi knew some pains cannot be interrupted. Some regrets need silence to ripen. By morning, news had already reached the entire street. Eastleigh people talked fast and they talked early. Some came with pity, some came with whispers, some came with unnecessary commentary wrapped in false sympathy. Amina, chai, life did her bad oh. See fine tailor. Hell, see how devil used sickness. I heard she ignored the signs. Women sha. Children pointed. Men shook their heads. Women sighed heavily and carried the gossip like market bags. Every visit bruised her, not because of what they said, but because they were right. She wanted to scream, leave me, I know I did this to myself. But guilt sat on her throat like a weight. 3 days later, she forced herself to walk to her shop. Her mother begged her to rest, but Amina was stubborn even in sorrow. When she opened the dusty door, a strange smell drifted out. The smell of stale air mixed with abandoned ambition. Clothes hung on the walls like ghosts wearing unfinished promises. Threads lay scattered like dead insects. Her stool waited for her, empty, loyal, foolish. She walked slowly to her sewing machine. Her left hand touched the wheel the way someone touches an old lover's photograph, gently, wistfully, helplessly. Memories rushed in. Nights she walked late, humming, Morning, she laughed with customers. Afternoon, she promised tomorrow like it was a gift she controlled. The same tomorrow that had betrayed her. Her breath began to shake. She sat on the stool, tried to lift the machine's pedal with her right arm out of habit, only to remember. Her body jerked, her heart dropped, her breath caught in her throat. And slowly, painfully, she remembered her arm from the pedal and placed it on her lap. The tears came softly at first, then violently, like rain that had been threatening all day. She cried into her lap, into her sleeve, into her regret. I should have gone earlier. I should have listened. I should have stopped saying tomorrow. Her regret filled the shop until it felt like the air itself was grieving. A few hours later, she heard footsteps. A cluster of familiar women entered. The same customers who used to shout, argue, threaten, scatter her shop like matatu conductors arguing over change. But today, they stood quietly. Even Mama Wanjiru, queen of quarrels, minister of loudness, spoke gently. Amina, my daughter, we are sorry. Oh. Another woman wiped her own eyes. We didn't know it was this bad. Chai, forgive us, yeah? The irony cut like blade. All those times they were shouted for their clothes, all those times she postponed, all those times she smiled and said tomorrow. Tomorrow had finally answered, and it answered with a loss. Amina nodded slowly, unable to speak. Forgiveness was not the problem. The problem was that they were standing around her like mourners, and she was the funeral. That night, when everyone went home and the street grew quiet, Amina sat on the floor of her shop. She turned off the light. Let darkness join her. Let silence sit beside her. She lifted her hand to touch the machine one more time. Her fingers ran across the metal. Her palm rested on the cold surface, and her heart broke in a new way. She whispered into the quiet, God, if time could rewind, if only I treated this thing early, if only I didn't wait, if only I didn't say tomorrow, hey, if I had known. Her voice cracked. If I had known. She said it again. If I had known. The shop echoed back her regret like a lesson carved into stone. One late evening, as rain tapped quietly on her window, she sat by herself, wrapped in a shawl, staring at her sewing machine. Her voice was a whisper, barely louder than the rain. Ah, if only I treated it early. If only I went to the hospital that time. If only I didn't carry everything to tomorrow. She closed her eyes and breathed painfully. Tomorrow killed me before sickness did. That was the truth. And that was where her story ended. Not in triumph or in recovery, but in a lesson. A heavy human lesson carved into her life. A lesson she paid for with her hand. The end. Besties, you've seen Amina's story. You've seen how one small, I'll do it later, turned into a lifetime of regret. How tomorrow kept calling her until tomorrow carried everything away. Procrastination doesn't kill in one day. It starts like joke. Then one day you look back and realize life has moved without you. So please hear me well. Whatever you need to do, do it today. Your health, your goals, your responsibilities, attend to them now. Tomorrow is sweet, but tomorrow is a liar. And besties, since we are talking like this, let me tell you something before you go. It's my birthday today. Yes, so today. If you enjoyed this story or any other story you've heard from me, please say a prayer for me in the comments. Even if it's just a happy birthday summer, it will mean a lot to me. And I beg you, don't procrastinate it. Don't say I'll comment later. That later is how people lose things. Drop it now. Today, before you forget. Life is short and every day is a gift you must use. If this story touched you, if it shook something inside you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more interesting stories. And tell me in the comments one thing you will stop procrastinating after hearing Amina's story. Love you all. See you in the next one. Bye.